There's a lot more to see than the fest in Central Cali. Too much for us to really dilly-dally.
Thank you for tuning in to Hannah and Eric Go Birding, a podcast by birders for birders.
I'm Hannah and he's Eric.
We created this podcast to share adventures, sometimes misadventures, and opinions that we have on different birding topics. We're definitely not experts. Anything that we discuss that might be controversial, just remember, their own opinions, they might be different from yours.
I like how no matter what, at this point, you don't read my little silly song, and you'll still...
I like to be a surprise.
I know, you'll hear it and you'll chuckle. I can still surprise you after all these years.
I don't want to read it ahead of time, because I'm like, oh, I'll hear it fresh. I'll hear it with the way it's intended to be heard.
Like you all hear it. Not too much news that I'm aware of. We've just been trying to avoid our local news with our state legislature changes for us and our business, which are not preferred. So yeah, that, and you've been working a lot on our house. We're doing a renovation on our house. It's taken a lot of your time.
It's taking a lot of time. Yeah, today I put a second coat of mud, and I mudded and taped all the walls 2 days ago, and then today I put a second coat of mud on it, and slowly making progress on making it look acceptable.
I'm glad that you have the knowledge, skills, and ability to do this work.
Well, next step is tiling and building a shower, so we'll see. We'll see if I have the KSAs for that. We'll see what happens that first water test, and we'll see.
It's also been raining where we're at, just downpour, gully washers, like the roads are flooded, so we hope wherever you're at, you're warm and dry and safe. So, another thing that we'd like to mention, we've talked about it a couple times, is that we're going to Costa Rica in October.
Yeah. We
have a trip planned with Naturalist Journeys, which I keep rereading the description, and I get more and more excited about it each time because there's some really cool places in there that we've never been, and I'm excited to check out.
Yeah, we've been to Costa Rica a couple of times. We're super excited to go to a slightly different area in Costa Rica. Slightly different birds.
It's called the Caribbean side, but it's just north of San Jose.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah, definitely. So
there are still a few rooms left.
Yeah, so we want you to join us if you're interested. It's October 15th through the 22nd with Naturalist Journeys, and we'll post the information in the show notes, and we hope you can join along with us.
Yeah, and like I said, there are a few rooms still available, but just keep in mind that it's currently March, and when this episode comes out, there are still a few, just in case you're not listening to this on time.
That's a good point. So we have a couple folks that we want to thank.
Yeah, so we have a Buy Me a Coffee and Venmo, and we had some people buy us coffee. So we had Joby and Elizabeth buy us some coffee, so we're very excited about that. Thank you guys all so much. We don't put those up because we are just trying to seek money, but it does help to keep funding the website and the podcast hosting and stuff like that, the costs that go into podcasting. And we do this just because we want to share our love of birds with everyone.
Yeah, and we want to help everybody find out new birding places to go, hopefully.
Yeah.
Which, we don't always talk about the, really obscure birding places, because we also want to mention places that are near and dear to our hearts and places that are nearby, like what we'll be talking about in California in a minute, because maybe it'll open up some people's eyes to places that they haven't been in their own local area.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or you'll be like, hey, you didn't go to my favorite place in my local area, and we'll be like, next time.
You did the trail wrong. It's actually, if you go this other way, it's even better. It's like, that's happened too.
Yeah.
All right, so Hannah, you have two other podcasts that come out in between episodes of Hannah and Eric Go Birding. You've got Women Birders Happy Hour, which came out last week, and then you've got Bird Nerd Book Club, which comes out next week. So last week, Women Birders Happy Hour, who'd you have on?
I had on Sandra Maracho, who is a birder and a community activist, and just a whole bunch of other things that she does in Ecuador. So I was really excited to chat with her because she got me so excited about the work that she's doing in her community to get others involved in birding and get them to, locals to conserve different parts of their habitat and their area. So I really want to go back down to Ecuador and meet her and see all the cool things that she's doing.
Yeah, that'd be super fun. We should.
Yeah, totally.
And then next week, Bird Nerd Book Club, you read a book and interviewed an author?
Okay, so I read The Feather Wars, and I read it a couple months ago, and it doesn't come out until March. I think it comes out in a couple weeks. Anyways, it is a fantastic book full of so much information, and I'm sad to say that a lot of it, like, because there's so much information, like, a lot of it went over my head, and I will have to reread it because there's so many, like, political things that happen that he mentions, and yeah, so it's fascinating. It's by James McCommons, and I was so excited to chat with him. He's a super nice guy and just put out this amazing book about bird conservation in the Gilded Age, to like the early 1900s. So it was a fascinating read, and one of my top, if I was Oprah, I'd be like, top book of the year.
I can confirm that basically every chapter, maybe half chapter or so, Hannah was like, okay, Eric, I have to tell you about this. I have to tell you about this. It was just the entire book.
I'm sorry.
No, it's good. I felt like I partially read it. Yeah.
You got the Cliff Notes
I got the Cliff Notes version of that book. Yeah.
Well, anyways, so that episode will come out on March 26th, and you can pick up The Feather Wars pretty soon around here, so please check it out. So, Eric, we're going some places.
Yes, we are. So, middle of April, we're going to the Rio Grande Valley for Spring Chirp, a boutique birding festival down in the Rio Grande Valley. Very excited for that. We mentioned briefly just before, and we'll mention it again. We'll probably mention it for a couple more episodes, I'm sure. But Costa Rica in October, we are going there. If you want to come with us, you can check out in our show notes the link to the Naturalist Journeys page that has all the information about it and how to book and all that fun stuff. And then in November, just after that, we're going to be going to the Rio Grande Valley Birding Festival. If they send us a golden ticket.
We're manifesting it still. So we're going back to Rio Grande Valley.
So if you're listening, Rio Grande Valley Birding Festival coordinator, we're still mentioning it, BTW. But
free advertising.
Very very fun festival. We love it. It's a great time. As you can tell, we love to go down to the Rio Grande Valley. We go there.
It's our home
Spring
away
Chirp
from home.
and Rio Grande Valley. So
yeah,
lots and lots of fun.
Yeah, so join us at any of those.
Yeah.
Costa Rica or Spring Chirp.
Those are all public events. Anyone can come to any of them.
As long as you pay for it. So that brings us to our March giveaway announcement.
Yes, so we asked you to show us your favorite birdie possession. So we have lots of birdie stuff.
As most birders probably do. You just have a bunch of random stuff that either you buy or people buy for you or you find somewhere. And so we wanted to see, like, what's your favorite? So we had a lot of interesting things that people shared with us. A lot of home decor, especially. Like Karen shared us some stained glass that her parents had made.
Yeah.
And Kristen had shared with us some ivory carvings that she'd gotten from a community in Alaska.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of really cool stuff that people have at their homes. Beth shared us a ton of stuff, like owl seed feeder that a raccoon was eating.
A little wine pourer, a little chirpy wine pourer.
Yeah. So our randomly selected winner was
Joby. So Joby shared with us a couple of cool things, including a beautiful owl plate. Looked like it was completely handmade and everything. It was super cool looking. But Joby shared a bunch of other stuff to us as well. So congratulations, Joby. We will be sending you the Costa Rica books that we promised.
Yeah. So thank you for everyone.
And we'll be reaching out to get your contact info to where to send it.
No, we're just gonna send it to a random address.
Just a random Joby. We'll just Google Joby and send it wherever that goes. Yeah.
So thank you for everybody who participated, and we will have another giveaway in April. So just to recap, we were at the Morro Bay Birding Festival in Morro Bay, California, in our first episode, and then our second, the last episode, we talked about cattle ranching with Audubon, which was really fun to talk about.
Tons of fun. We were down near Morro Bay when we talked to them, so California again.
Yeah. So now we're back finishing up some of the...
Back to the festival.
Festival. But we wanted to mention some of the other things that we did in that area too, because that festival is kind of fun for us because the field trips are like at a reasonable time of day and they're not very long, and so we have a lot of time to play. Well,
it's winter time, so in general, northern hemisphere winter time days are shorter, sun comes up later. It's in January, so the festival's in January, so it's as short as the days get. Essentially, December would be a little bit shorter, but basically, so the trips don't start till 9.
Yeah.
And then the sun goes down at like 7 or something, or 6. So it's, you have a lot of dark time that you can't go out birding. So there's lots of time to hang out and do other stuff. And the one benefit that we've noticed is the last 2 times that we've done this festival, the coordinator has just randomly given one of the days as a day off.
Yeah.
That we're not guiding. So then it's like, oh, we can go find something else around the area to go do.
And so if you listen to our episodes from last year, we went searching for a LeConte thrasher on our day off and busted on that. And so there weren't a whole lot of LeConte thrasher sightings when we were there in this last January, because of course I'm checking eBird every single day to be like, what's new?
Because it's still technically, it's not really a nemesis because we've really only gone for it twice. But maybe you would consider it a nemesis.
No,
but
no. It's still
maybe someone out there in the world would consider it a nemesis.
Goshawk.
Only 2.
Goshawk and Secretary Bird are still my nemesis.
But we still haven't seen it.
I'm going to get each one tattooed, and then when I see it, just like X it off.
Just put like a line through it.
It'll be the opposite of my leg tattoo, where those are the birds I like.
And the birds on your wrist are the ones
my
you
nemesis
hate.
ones. Yeah, okay. We're doing this. I should have thought of this before Friday the 13th tattoos.
Seriously.
So anyways,
There'll be another Friday the 13th.
Maybe.
They happen every couple of months.
We'll see. So anyways, we had the day off on Saturday, and so we thought about driving up to Monterey because Eric's never seen the Monterey Bay Aquarium, which I think is fantastic, and I wanted to take him there, but it was just a little bit too far.
Yeah, it was like we flew in and out of San Jose, which was up near Monterey Bay.
I think we passed the turnoff for it.
Yeah, we passed the turnoff for it. So it was like, well, we're basically driving all the way back to the airport. And like, that seems like a long haul just for a single day. And like, I don't know. So instead of doing that, we were like, well, let's just try to bird some places that we've never birded before around the area. And so we decided to start off with some place that we had already birded before.
Well, okay, so you can't go to the Morro Bay area without going to see the elephant seals.
Yes, the elephant seals are a blast. They're a lot of fun to watch. There's this beach, Point Pedras Blanca, which is 45 minutes or so north of the festival.
If you put in like elephant seals, it'll take you to San Simeon, which there's like a visitor center there for the Friends group, but it's a little bit further than that.
Yeah, it's like 10 minutes more.
So you have to put in like Elephant Seals Vista, I think, and
something like that. Yeah,
that Google Maps will get you there.
But it's a beach that there's a couple of beaches along that area that the elephant seals haul out, and that's where they give birth, and they just kind of hang out, and it's very National Geographic.
Totally.
It's a lot of fun. You have the whole situation going on. You have the big giant males. You have the
Okay, hang on. You're getting ahead of ourselves. So we went there last year, and it was just so interesting. We were like, it's worth a stop every time you go to that area. And we got there at, I don't know, it wasn't that like late in the morning. Like maybe 8 or 9.
Yeah, it was fairly early.
And yeah, so we got there about 8 or 9. There weren't a whole lot of other people in the area, which was kind of nice. The parking lot was, slower. Yeah. One thing, I know there's people that hate when I mention bathrooms. One thing to keep in mind is that there isn't a bathroom there.
There is no bathrooms.
There's no porta potty. There's no pit toilet. There are some, like at state parks, along the way to it, but there's not one at that parking lot. So just be aware of that.
Yeah, so there's a parking lot. I can't remember the name of the state park. San Simeon State Park.
Yeah,
San Simeon State Park. There's a wayside that's like 5 minutes before you get to the elephant seals.
Maybe.
That's the last bathroom that you'll have on your way to the elephant seals. So be aware of that. Or just don't have to go.
Bathroom talk over. So anyways, we got to the parking lot and we spent about 2 hours there because...
Even though we've already been there before.
The whole thing is so fascinating. Like it's like watching a huge soap opera of different soap operas happening all at the same time. Like when we first got there, there was a huge male that was like just loafing on the beach. And then another male, like very dramatically, like came out of the water and was like charging up the beach, and they charge like 5 feet and then they just like pass out.
Like big giant slugs. They can just get tired and they just like plop over. And then they'll chase each other for a second and then plop over.
They'll both plop over at the same time.
It's like they can, on land, they can only move like 10 feet at a time, and then they're like, well, that's enough.
It's so funny. So we watched a couple males spar for a little bit.
Yeah, there was a big male that was just covered in scars.
Yeah.
So he seemed like he was probably, at least for the northern half of that beach, he was in charge.
He was the beach master.
Yeah, he was the beach master. He really was. I think he was probably almost half again as big as any other male that was out there. But then eventually he just kind of went out in the water for a little while. So then a couple other males started trying to challenge the pecking order when he wasn't there.
If I ever like go for a scientific master's, it might just be in like elephant seal behavior, which I'm sure there's been billions of studies.
Hundreds, yeah.
I know, but I'll find something different because I just want to sit there and watch it. It's too much. So yeah, the males are fun to watch, sparring with each other and then going after the females. And then the females, a lot of them had babies already. And so the babies are sitting there screaming
the whole time, crying and crying.
And then the females are like, you know, there'll be a male that's chased off from another male and he'll go through the colony and the females are screaming at him the whole time because he's crushing them. It's so much drama. And I tried to do a TikTok live when we were there because it's just so entertaining. Mm-hmm. And I had cell phone service, but then the second I started trying to open up TikTok, like service just plummeted.
Yeah, so it was fake service. Didn't really have it.
Yeah. So anyways, totally worth the stop. The birding there was actually pretty good too. Yeah,
killdeer, black turnstones poking around through the colony, gulls, multiple species of gulls that were just eating whatever was left over after the births. Some of them were stillborn, some of them were the afterbirths. It was just whatever was there, just stuff. Eating things, cormorants. There was a grebe floating around in the water. It was definitely pretty darn birdy for an area that is mostly known for giant 1,000-pound blubbery seals that are screaming and being very loud.
Yep, that's about it. So we kind of got our fill of that, or we drug ourselves away.
We had to drag ourselves away from that.
Yeah, because we were like, we have to do something else today besides be here.
Yeah, we're not going to have anything to talk about in the episode if all we do is stay here talking about elephant seals.
So I feel like we kind of aimlessly left from there, not knowing exactly where to go. But then we ended up going to Atascadero Lake, mm-hmm. which is just kind of right on the highway from Morro Bay.
Yeah, so we went back. We took a separate highway. We didn't go into Morro Bay, but we took a highway that kind of skirted or along the north edge of it to hit Atascadero Lake.
There were some gorgeous scenic overlooks
from
that highway too.
Did we stop? We stopped and took a picture from it.
Yeah, we stopped and took a picture at one because you could see from there. You could see like all of Morro Bay and you know just
that was pretty cool.
Forever. Yeah,
so got to Atascadero Lake. Atascadero Lake is a lake that they'd send a lot of field trips up to. We now know why, because it is pretty birdy up there. But we got there at first. It was pretty full of people like fishing and just hanging out.
And it was Saturday, so yeah joggers and kids riding bikes and stuff.
People. But we started off on like the southeast side of the lake. There's like this fishing spot, and there was a couple like substantially large trees that looked like they looked like they were granary trees for acorn woodpeckers, but we ignored that for a second and looked at the bald eagle that was in the tree. That was exciting. Everyone had to make sure that we had seen the bald eagle, which is great.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
We appreciate people being excited about birds.
I know a lot of people joke about it, but yeah, it's fun when people are like, "Did you see that?" And it's like, "Yes, yep. I'm so glad you did."
I'm glad you saw it too, because it's a cool thing to see.
Yeah. So we set up the scope and we were trying to scope out some of the birds. There were ducks like on the other side that we didn't get a great look at, but there were mostly ruddy ducks, couple buffleheads, mallards, that sort of thing. And then we started hearing the woodpeckers behind us. Yeah,
I did not get a good audio recording because, like I said, there's a lot of people hanging out. There's a couple barbecues going, people opening and closing doors and stuff. So not really good audio, but there were 15, 10, something like that, woodpeckers. They were just like going nuts, bringing stuff. I think you took a video.
I took
TikTok live.
No, I did a bunch of videos because I've never actually seen them like bring acorns back to the tree and like size
and
them
do the
up.
fitting. Yeah.
Well, and I think I think it was like, Saturday chores. They were like rotating them in the granary too. So like they would pull one out and then like, find a better spot for it. So I don't think I've ever actually seen them or at least paid attention to them putting in that kind of work.
Yeah, that was fun to watch.
That was super
and
cool.
lots of noises as they're flying around talking to each other.
Yeah, so we another thing we had to pull ourselves away from. So from there, we went to the opposite corner of the lake where there's a public bathroom. Just
because, as Hannah said, there's no bathroom at
Elephant
Seals. And then at this point, there was still no bathroom. So I was like, well, we need to go find a bathroom.
Yeah, so we parked by the like main parking lot, and there's a little city zoo there that we were kind of tempted to stop in, but from that parking lot, we were gonna just stop and use the bathroom, and that was it. But the bathroom was across, like, the whole park.
Yeah, during the winter, the bathroom that's close to the parking lot is closed, and you have to walk all the way back into the park to the bathroom that's open year round.
But like Eric said, there was like birthday parties being set up in the park and barbecues and lots of stuff going on. But over by the bathroom, I'm so glad we had to walk over there because there were oak titmouse and western bluebirds and ruby crown kinglets and white-breasted nuthatches and a lot of forest birds that were hopping around those pretty substantially sized like oak trees.
Yeah, big, huge oak trees. I think they were all oaks.
Yeah, I tried to get a video of the oak titmouse, but they were just moving too fast to be able to get something.
Yeah, and so all these people having barbecues, they had these giant, like, massive cast iron or steel.
They were fancy barbecues.
Big, huge barbecues that had these cranks on the side, though. You would crank up the grill, and then you'd build your big fire below it, and then you crank the grill down to cook your food. So it was like, these things are pretty cool.
Yeah.
And they had a cool little locking mechanism to it. I took some pictures of it because I thought they were really interesting.
Because you're going to make me one?
I don't know how to weld. Which is the first thing you pointed out to me when I went to go take a picture of one. I was like, this is kind of cool. And you're like, Eric, you don't know how to weld. I was like, I can learn.
Hey, do it. Go for it. I'd be proud of you. But at that point, it was lunchtime. Like we were saying, everybody else was getting their lunch going. So we found a brewery in the area that sounded interesting called Wild Fields Brewery. Mm-hmm. And we decided, okay, well, we got to go over there and check that out.
Wild Fields, sure.
Yeah. So we went over there, not too far away, just kind of around the corner on the other side of the highway. And we were the only ones in there for a little bit, but they had just opened.
Yeah, like we were there 10 minutes after opening time.
Yeah, and it's a big brew pub and has a lot of activities for kids. They had like pinball or like games. Had pretty solid beer and food options too. And we sat at the bar and chatted with the bartender for a little while. And we found out that he was a local teacher at the high school and also a birder.
Yeah, so we had a nice long chat about the different birds, and he's been to the festival before, and he was talking about, he needs to get some new binoculars. So we're like, actually, you should just go over to the festival. Like, it gets you a chance to actually hold binoculars, look at them, feel them, test out the most expensive options and the more budget options, because at pretty much every festival, they've got the whole range of pricing. So he's like, you go, try it, get over there. And he's like, maybe I will. So I have no idea if he actually ended up making it over.
No, we didn't make a connection.
Never really connected on that level with him.
We didn't follow up with him on that.
No, but we didn't see him at the festival the rest of the time. So
that's true.
That's what I was getting at.
But it was a pretty nice brewery. I had some good beers there, and it was a nice chill way to spend lunch. So one of the stops that we did want to make that day that we'd kind of planned on was to go to the Wolff Winery.
So not to go from brewery straight to winery.
Oh man!
But we did.
We did.
We that was our next stop. The brewery was spur of the moment. We were just looking for some lunch, and we are like, they've got some good lunch.
Yeah. The winery was intentional.
The winery was the plan to get to.
But also, like, I was looking up the winery, and I was like, well, they don't have a whole lot of food, and we need lunch, and it's like 30 minutes from here, so let's find some lunch first before we go there. So that was the reason. Anyways, the Morro Bay Birding Festival, they go to this winery, Wolff Winery. They have field trips out there. So we wanted to check it out and see, like, well, why are they sending people out there?
Why is this the thing? Like, why does this winery get something over other wineries or vineyards?
Yeah, because there's actually a surprising amount of wineries right down there.
Oh, it's the Central Valley, California. There's lots of stuff growing.
I know. You just hear about certain areas of the country, and it's always surprising to me when there's like other areas that have wine.
Yeah.
And I'm not like a connoisseur. Like,
No.
I drink wine, but
wine's good. I like wine.
I don't know anything about it. And I mean, I can kind of tell some of the different styles from each other.
Yeah, I can tell.
Chardonnay from Pinot.
I was going to say a Merlot from a Chardonnay. I can tell the difference.
You can tell the difference between a white and a red.
Sure.
In a blind taste test.
In a blind taste test, I would give myself a 50% chance of getting it right.
Would you have to like spit it up and look? So
but
anyway.
I enjoy wine from time to time. I prefer beer, but wine's good.
Sure. Yeah.
But not a wine connoisseur at all.
Yeah, wine people don't come after us.
Yeah.
It's cool. I think it's cool that you're into wine, but I just can't commit it to memory.
Yeah, I'm more into birds than I am into the other stuff anyways, so.
More than beer?
50-50.
You do a better job at listing birds than you do
I
beer.
do a much better job of listing birds than I do listing beer.
So anyways, we went to this winery, and it was a good 20 or 30 minutes away from that Atascadero area that we were in.
Yeah.
And it was, driving to wineries are always like up backcountry roads that I feel like we're going to the wrong place.
It always seems so weird because, like, as an American, like, we spend a lot of time driving country roads for birding in the United States, and the United States is very particular about private property, especially rural private property. People are very particular about it, and so you're always kind of I'm always kind of on edge about, oh well, is someone going to come out and freak out at us? Is this going to be fine? And it's always trying to be careful of making sure we're staying on marked public roads and things like that. But then you go to a winery or going up to into a vineyard, and there's usually not great signage indicating that this is a great place to go. And then you're just kind of driving onto private property, and it's like, is this okay? Am I going to get in trouble?
Well, and a lot of them will have like signs that say like open, tasting room open.
Yeah.
And you can't see if there's other people there because you have to like drive into the vineyard.
You have to drive so far into it
to get there. So it's like I don't want to be the only one, like we were at the brewery, which I'm fine with being the only person at a brewery.
Even there, we don't usually like to be the only people.
I know.
At a place.
I don't want to be the only person at a vineyard because I feel like I'm going to get way more attention than I want from the owner or the person serving the wine, which I mean is their job. Sommelier. It's their job, and that's fine. But I just want to like sit in quiet and drink the wine. So yeah, I always want to know that there's other people at the vineyard before we go.
that are going to take up the staff's time.
Yeah.
So you don't have to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, we pulled off into the driveway, and this
one was pretty well marked. It said had the sign, and it said tasting room open.
I think it had a birding festival sign there too.
There was a birding festival sign. Throughout all of the Morro Bay Birding Festival locations, they have these yard signs that are like political signs with the wire you set up. They have those like in front of like every single spot that you could possibly go to. So it's quite the investment for them to go and install all of those, but then I'm sure quite the investment to go and take them all down as well. So I wanted to give a big shout out to all the volunteers and all the staff that do all of that. That's a ton of extra work.
Seriously.
Goes on behind the scenes that you don't see as a participant usually.
Well, and the
signs are just there.
And it makes it so handy for people because a lot of the trips that they do are drive yourself.
Oh,
and so that helps you find the location that you're looking for.
Yeah. There's a sign. I must be pretty darn close to the site I need to be.
Well, and then for us, like we weren't signed up to do any field trips that we weren't leading. And so like it kind of helped us figure out like, oh, we should go birding there because it's a field trip site that we haven't seen before. So anyways, the vineyard, we drove in, I don't know, maybe a quarter of a mile, half a mile up to the parking lot and
something like that.
Walked over to the patio and somebody met us and told us, just take a seat and we'll bring you wine and, tell you about it and everything.
Well, at first they were like, well, because we're kind of slow, we're going to ask that you come up to us.
No, they were packed.
Oh, no, that's what it was. It was the other. It was packed. We're not going to be able to come out to you and give you table service, so just come up to us and get it. We'll give you your first one right now. So they gave us the first taste, told us what the first one was. Then we went and found a seat, sat down. And then they came to our table anyways throughout the whole time.
Well, they had a birthday party going on for like, I don't know, like 30 drunk ladies in like a barn next to the tasting room, and then all the tables were full at the patio.
In the tasting room itself, or tasting patio itself.
Yeah, so it was pretty slammed. But it was so pleasant. It was kind of on the it's the highest point in the vineyard, so you have a really good view around.
Vantage over the whole place.
The grapes and everything. But the vineyard itself has 125 acres of ecologically friendly, certified, sustainable property just outside of San Luis Obispo. They have done a ton of work to do what they can to make it organic and ecologically friendly and sustainable, like I said. But one of the things that they really want to highlight is the cool coastal marine influence that impacts the grapes, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah, there's always, wineries always have something that they're trying to like capitalize on. Like there was the massive smoke up in the Willamette Valley 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, the fires that caused smoke, and it caused all the grapes to be smoky because they were breathing, the grape plants were breathing the smoke and infusing that into the grapes. And so there's always something to make it unique and different. And so their coastal breeze that they receive at this property is what they're trying to capitalize on there.
Yeah. And the property originally was started in 1976 with just 55 acres of Chardonnay grapes. So it's really grown a lot under the current owners, Jean-Pierre and Elke Wolff, who purchased it in 1999. So they've had it for, 27 years or so. And like I said, they've expanded it a lot and turned it into the artisan winery that it is. And their philosophy when it comes to winemaking, I read a lot about this on their website. And
so honestly, we didn't get very much information about it while we were there.
Wish we would have been able to, but they were so packed that it wasn't. That we weren't going to be able to talk to anybody.
We got the information about the wine itself, and then a little bit about the property and the current grapes and stuff from the servers, but not like the history and the environmental history of the property.
Well, that's what I think is really cool. On their website, they talk a lot about it, and that, their philosophy is to use minimal intervention and really rely on the landscape and the environment to influence the wine. And so that's why it's so important for them to be like sustainable and environmentally conscious. They've developed a sustainability certification program, which is 10 years old and has impacted thousands of acres of wine in California, which I think is really cool. And some of what they're trying to do is improve water quality and conserve it when possible. So trying to minimize how much they're actually irrigating.
Yeah.
And they do plant a lot of cover crops too to reduce erosion along the property.
I thought that was interesting when I read that. So it reminded me a lot of the one other winery that we've spent some time at and looked at was Raptor Ridge. We did an episode about it a few years ago.
Yeah.
And they do very similar practices. And this is in the Willamette Valley in Oregon, as opposed to California, doing a lot of cover crops that in between the rows, they're planting native wildflowers that can help with there was a lot of stabilizing and nitrogen fixing the soil, so they don't have to use as much fertilizer or use no fertilizer. I'm not sure which, but like lots of the same practices both here and there. Very, very similar, even though we're slightly different regions in terms of wine growing. We grow different types of grapes here in Oregon than they do in California.
And the water composition between here and there is so different.
So different. Like water isn't like everywhere. Clean fresh water is always an issue to some extent, but in Oregon much less so, especially the Willamette Valley, than it is down in Central Valley, California.
Yeah, so they do a lot to try to be sustainable, which I think is really cool. And I think that's definitely a reason why the Morro Bay Bird Festival brings people there. And I wish we would have been able to go on that tour to hear more.
To hear more from them, yeah.
Yeah, so if you get the opportunity to check it out, it was only $20 for a wine tasting, which I felt like was surprisingly cheap.
Right, not bad for a wine tasting.
The wine was... Again, I don't know anything about wine. The wine was drinkable, good. So
it was good wine, yeah.
Yeah.
There was one that was kind of weird, but the rest of them were all good.
But also it's like beer.
It's
like
beer,
everybody's
exactly.
gonna have their favorite, and it's not gonna be my favorite.
Yeah, there's taste differences. People are gonna like things and not like things. Like some people just hate IPAs. So
yeah. So anyways, we enjoyed that, and we sat on the patio, had Anna's hummingbirds and turkey vultures and crows and red-winged blackbirds. So there are a lot of birds to see there as well.
It was late in the afternoon, so 9 species for our checklist there. Not a huge checklist, but it's middle of the afternoon.
But the property is pretty massive. So I definitely think if you could, I mean, I'm sure you can wander around and, see what other birds are like in the hedgerows.
Yeah, probably.
So that was a lot of fun. I wanted to go wine tasting for a while, so I'm glad we got to do that.
We're gonna have to go again.
Yeah.
But I was really in the mood for a burrowing owl.
I don't know why.
I don't know why either.
What it is about burrowing owls for you?
Every time we're in California, I'm like, let's go find a burrowing owl.
I feel like
I don't
in
know
Texas
why.
you do that too.
I do that in Texas. It's for some reason we have them in Oregon.
It's not even your favorite animal.
It's not even my favorite owl.
No. What's your favorite owl?
I like elf owls. I think I prefer elf owl to burrowing owl.
I didn't hear elf owl at first. I thought owl fowl.
Owl fowl.
I like owl fowls.
Owl fowl.
Me too. So elf owl is your favorite?
Maybe. I don't know. Burrowing owls are cool though, because they hang out in groups. Well, like long-eared owls, they hang out in groups. They're fun.
Those are weird. I feel like long-eared owls, finding those are so odd.
I don't know if this is inappropriate.
Not in a bad way, but cool.
I don't know if this is inappropriate, but thinking about like long-eared owls and where we've seen them. Yeah. Like we're in like.
I'm scared where this is gonna go.
Like we're on a boardwalk and there's no leaves in the trees and they're just kind of like popping up like ghosts or something out of the trees.
Yeah.
And they're super like kind of staring back at us, being all creepy. It reminds me very much of like Deliverance. Like I feel like I hear banjos and it's just like and they're just out there in the trees like watching us.
I've never seen it.
It's very interesting. I don't know if that's inappropriate to say, but
okay.
It was. That's what I think of when I think of long-eared owls. So
that makes me not want to go find them.
I was interested in burrowing owls, and just for some reason, I don't know why. I was like, we need to find some.
Are owls your second favorite to woodpeckers?
Maybe, I don't know.
Just wondering.
Yeah. What about you? Are they your second favorite? Do you hate owls?
I hate owls.
You hate owls.
Man, I've read so many books about owls at this point. I'm like tired of owls. No, owls are cool. Yep. Okay, moving on. Eric wanted to go see an elf owl.
I also want to see an elf owl. But
Eric wanted to go see a burrowing owl. And so there'd been reports of him on a road called Turry Road, which was kind of like back roads.
Yeah, pretty close. It was like on the way back to the festival.
So we had to go looking for that, and there were reports that were there from like earlier that day or the day before, and they had pictures, which I'm excited that people post pictures of it, because then you can try to pinpoint in the landscape, like where was this picture taken?
Where was the picture taken? Yeah. As you're driving along, you're like, do these rocks look familiar?
Yeah. So we looked and looked and looked. 40 minutes, nothing. We did not find a burrowing owl.
No burrowing owl.
We tried to will it. We tried to manifest it.
We kept pulling over, getting out, and like scanning all of the rocks that were there. Like, it's got to be in these rocks. And I'm fairly certain we found the rocks that they're at. They just weren't up.
Yeah.
They were.
Which I feel like you won't believe. Like, if the owl's not there, you're like, that's not the right place then. Like, you think they're always going to be there.
They're always going to be up.
Yeah.
Always going to be up and out.
Yep.
All the time.
However, we did have some Say's phoebes and western bluebirds and meadowlarks and pipits, so all was not lost.
Yeah. Still had birds. Still had a pretty good list of birds, too, so.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
So anyways, we called it quits for that day, and the next day we had another field trip that we had to lead, but in the evening we stopped by the vendor area to see what was going on, and someone had mentioned that there was a northern pygmy owl heard at San Simeon
State Northern Park. Pygmy owl your favorite?
No.
Oh, okay.
Northern hawk owl.
Those are vicious.
Yeah, they are.
So we were talking with one of the vendors, like, "Hey, are you gonna go? Should we go? Do you want to go? We should all go. Let's go." And
we were trying to rally a crowd.
Yeah, we were trying to get a group to go look for a northern pygmy owl. It was still a lifer for us. We still hadn't seen northern pygmy owl. So Jeff, the sales rep for Koa, was like, "Yeah, I'll go. I got to get it on my year list."
Yeah, but he had to pack up all his stuff, so we were gonna just like head out there right away, and we were like,
we were gonna head out there right away, but then we ended up lingering around and chatting with people for like another hour at the vendor area.
Yeah,
and he was basically done, and so we thought we were leaving at the same time he was. Anyways, but apparently not. He must have stopped somewhere else. or something.
Well, he probably had to go drop off stuff.
Probably maybe dropped it off as a hotel so they didn't get stolen out of his car or something.
So anyways, it was being seen at San Simeon State Park, which was just south of where the elephant seals are.
All the way back up to the elephant seals again.
Exactly. So it was a bit unclear on the eBird reports, like exactly where the bird was.
Well, it wasn't unclear where the bird was. It was unclear how to get to where the bird was. Okay. That's what I found the confusion in. We didn't know where to park. We didn't really know what trail it would be on. There wasn't really a lot of description because this isn't like a rare bird that people had to like write descriptions about.
Yeah.
It's just a bird that we were targeting.
Yeah. So we pulled off like on a road that was adjacent to the park, or it was like a big gravel pull off area. And there was like a little trail that went off of it through
with like a little shed of some sort.
Yeah, through a field. And so I got out of the car to like look and see if that looked appropriate, and there were quail. There were
a whole little bevy of quail.
There were 12 California quail, which is fun. I don't get to see a whole lot of quail. So that was like my highlight for the whole thing.
And it was getting close to sunset, so we were like in a hurry, like we need to find a trail to get on to start walking so we can start listening.
So we went over to the gate of the park and we tried to get into the park itself because there's a campground.
And there was like 10 signs on our way in saying
no day use.
No day use, only campers, no non-camper use. So I was like getting really discouraged. I'm like, we're just going to come in and we're going to ask the park rangers. So I asked the park ranger, like, okay, I'm going to start this off. I know we can't park here. I know we can't come in here. That's fine. But I have this question. And I pulled up on my phone the map and I was like, on this trail right here, this is where people are saying that they saw a northern pygmy owl. I know that they weren't camping here. How did they get there? Where did they park to get to that location to walk in? Is there a fee we can pay? And they're like, no, there's no day use fee. Just go in. Like, just park over there and walk in. And we're like, it's like 2 miles from here.
Yeah.
Like, it's a long hike from the station there. And they're like, oh, well, if you go over this other road, you could probably go in.
But it was like a private road that we had tried to go into. And we were like, this seems sketchy.
Yeah.
So
because it was like this whole like building that was like run down, like abandoned with like a fence around it.
So I looked it up and it's called Exotic Gardens Road.
Yeah.
And there's an article from 1963 about this property. And
okay.
I put it in the show notes so we can add it in the show notes if people want to learn more. But it was like a exotic garden place that like people, they were like famous for succulents and cactuses.
Interesting.
That this couple, it sounded like 3 people, were like, you know, making it into a garden with like greenhouses and stuff.
Huh.
But I think like it didn't say when the property was like abandoned, because when we were there was like exit signs.
Yeah.
So it's like,
and the exit signs still had batteries that were good in them because they were still lit up.
Yeah, so it was like newer than 1963.
Yeah.
So I couldn't find a whole lot of information besides that. But,
interesting.
Yeah, the article was like, this is a popular, you know, viewing point for if you're riding your horse from place to place along that area. So that was really interesting.
So on the old horse trail.
Yeah. So it's called Exotic Gardens Road, and like we said, there's like an abandoned building there. It all looks very fancy, like somebody's mansion that they just left. And there was like a little pull off, so we parked at the pull off and just kind of hoped that this was okay.
And it was starting to get dark. It was dusky. I think at this point we were right at sunset, or really close to sunset, and so we're like, we got to hurry up and get back to where these owls had been seen or heard, because they were seen right around sunset. Like they weren't seen super late at night. They're right around sunset and right around sunrise as well.
Well, and on the map we could tell that there was like a perimeter trail around the park. But I don't remember seeing it on the San Simeon State Park website. If that trail was
wasn't
like marked on there.
It wasn't on their website map.
Well, anyway, so from where we parked, there was like a little access to that trail, and then we just hiked that trail.
And once we were on the trail, it looked like a real trail. Like initially we were like, this kind of seems sketchy, and then as soon as we got to it, it's like, oh no, this is a trail.
But Google Maps had it posted as a trail.
Yeah, Google Maps has it as a trail, so we hiked that. We started around 5:30, right around sunset. There was wren tits we heard calling, spotted towhees calling. It was kind of getting too dark to see anything. We were just hearing stuff at that point. Things doing their last little chirps before going to sleep. But we were booking it, trying to get back.
Yeah.
Because looking on the map, it was like, this is a long ways back. And it was like a full mile back.
Yeah. Yeah, so we walked the mile in and got to the top of this like gully and listened and no Jeff. Jeff hadn't showed up.
No.
So we were like,
We're
okay,
out there by ourselves in the dark. And we're like, well,
we win some, we lose some.
I guess we did what we could. So we start walking back, kind of dejected a little bit, like.
And it was very dark. I was using my cell phone light.
It's definitely dark. And then out of the darkness comes this figure swinging a scope, like booking it. Like this figure was going probably twice as fast as.
Did he carry a scope?
Yeah, he brought a scope with him.
Did he leave it at the top?
I think he left it at the top.
Oh, okay.
No. He brought it all the way down. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it was Jeff. Jeff. All of a sudden, I know he's like, "Did you guys hear it? Did you see it?" We were like, "No," and he's like, "Well, how much further?" And I was like, I don't know. And we were about halfway back, so we were like, "Oh, we'll join you." So then we turned around and headed back the halfway back to get back in, and Jeff was definitely in a hurry at that point. He was
and you two are both taller than me, so you were booking it up the trail, and I was just barely catching up.
And at this point, the adrenaline was kicking in too. Like, oh, we got Jeff. Jeff knows what he's doing. He's gonna get us this owl. He wants the owl, so we're all gonna see this owl. So we're going quick.
Yeah.
Doing like a 15 minute mile, like speedy.
So we got
feet going.
We got to the top of the gully where we'd stopped before, and
it's pitch black at this point. Like it's completely dark. It was like a half a moon, so it wasn't even. It was clear skies, but it wasn't like a full moon light.
Yeah, and so then it was kind of like, well, let's keep going.
Jeff was like, "Well, this looks like it goes down. I think the trail where the pins are at are down here." So then we start going down this trail that slowly gets worse and worse and worse as we're going.
Like
it starts
scrambling down.
It starts turning less into a trail and more of like a game trail. And it's like, this doesn't seem right. I don't know what's going on. And then all of a sudden it just ends at a boardwalk that had boards blocking it so you couldn't go across because the boardwalk had collapsed. And so they blocked off that trail. They for whatever reason didn't block off the trail at the top of the hill. So you just start walking down. It just got less and less people were using it.
Probably they thought nobody was stupid enough to go down there.
Maybe. I don't know.
But the campground, like from the top of the gully, we could see the campground just like on the other side of it. Like it wasn't very far at all.
Yeah, no, you go across that boardwalk that had collapsed. And then, I don't know, it probably would have only been another couple 100 feet and you would have been to the campground. But boardwalk has collapsed, so you couldn't go any further. And so we're down in like the flatlands at the bottom of the gully. We're listening and listening and listening, and we hear something. Just a like really, 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 really quiet.
That was a great impression.
It was almost good. But it's so quiet, and we're like, oh. So then Jeff starts trying to do an imitation of it, and we get a little bit louder, and it's like, oh, it's a little bit louder. It goes maybe 10 times or so, getting a little bit louder, a little bit louder, a little bit louder. And every like 2 calls, we'd whip out our flashlights and then kind of spotlight around real quick. See, do we see an owl anywhere in these trees? No owl. All right, and turn it off and listen. And then we'll call again, and we'd all agree on a direction that it's calling from. And then we'd hurry up and see if we can find something. And after like 10 or so calls, a great horned owl does like a hoo hoo hoo, and then the northern pygmy was done.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, the great horn scared the northern pygmy, and now it's all quiet. So we heard northern pygmy, lots of times, over and over and over. Never ended up being able to get eyes on it. I carried my camera. Jeff had a scope, but no owl.
No.
We also didn't even see the great horned owl either.
No.
We only heard it. Just the one call too. One call from the great horned owl was enough to silence the northern pygmy for the rest of the time.
So then we like clambered back up this trail.
It was quite a scramble to get back up it. I was shocked going up it that none of us fell when we were coming down it.
Yeah.
Because it was slippery mud. Like it wasn't like.
Oh, I was walking very carefully.
Yeah, it wasn't like a good solid like. Easy to walk downhill, and then going uphill is easier than going downhill.
I think it was
when it's slippery.
It probably would have been probably less scarier in the dark like in the daytime, if I would have seen it, I would have been like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, that's true. Because you could only see what your flashlight was lighting up. So you're like, oh, well, this one step's muddy. Oh, well, no, this one step's muddy.
Yeah.
Instead of looking down and saying that's all muddy all down that way.
It was a lot further down than I was expecting it to be.
It was a lot further down, but we made it down safe. Made it back up safe. Surprisingly, and we got our target, northern pygmy owl.
Yeah. Yeah, so we walked the mile back to our cars, which seemed a lot quicker than before.
Felt like a half mile somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then the next day we had another field trip, but we had to head back towards the airport to fly back home. We had a little bit of time to kill, so we had plenty of time for birding, which was handy. And our first stop was to go back to Atascadero Lake because Eric wanted to try to get a good recording of
I really wanted to record them, but again, no success. The recordings, they weren't very vocal the second day we were there. So it was not quite as much vocal activity, but they were still there. I put 10 on the list. I think there was at least 10 hanging around nursing that granary tree.
But that lake is really interesting. There's a lot of cool stuff to see there. And I love ruddy ducks. They're super cool.
With their little whoop tail.
Yeah, and they had, that day there was about 110. So yeah, we got our fill of some birds there and more American white pelicans and oak titmouses, titmice, all the good things.
Titmices.
Titmices.
Yeah.
So on our way back, we were trying to figure out like some good places to go, and as this was January, it was kind of like,
let's kickstart the new year for our list.
Let's do a big year. And so I was trying to look at eBird to see if there were some year birds that we needed.
So things that we probably weren't going to get in other places throughout the year, because we don't. In 2026, we don't have a lot of plans for U.S. travel around places. So I was like, well, we're not going to. We have Rio Grande Valley.
And then Rio Grande Valley.
Rio Grande Valley again in the fall, but we don't have any plans for anything else.
We're doing a Pelagic in a couple weeks.
Yeah, we're doing a Pelagic, but that's still West Coast. Yeah. So we don't really... Yeah, so it's like, well, let's see what sort of different birds that we can get. So golden eagles was on the list.
Yeah, and so there was a golden eagle recorded at San Lucas wastewater treatment plant. So we decided to give that a try. And it wasn't too far out of the way. It is a tiny little baby wastewater treatment plant.
Yeah, I'm not sure what feeds into it because there wasn't really any agriculture. There wasn't any residences nearby.
Maybe it's just like runoff
I don't,
from the highway.
Maybe I don't know. It was an interesting wastewater treatment plant. We didn't look into it. It's just a plant in the middle of the highway.
Yeah,
nothing to really write home about. And there wasn't really any birds either.
Some mallards and bubbleheads and swallows. Yeah.
Nothing really going on. So the golden eagle obviously was just a flyover that someone happened to be near that, and they were like, "Oh, this is a good hotspot for it."
But that did lead us to some backcountry birding along Highway 198, which led to Peachtree Valley Road, which took us a little out of our way, but it's a spectacular birding highway.
It got me watching the clock. The rest of the day, because our flight was at like 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock or something. Or no, it must have been at 6 o'clock, and so we wanted to get to the airport by like 4:30.
Yeah.
And so it was like, all right, well, I'm watching the clock like the whole day, like, because this road suddenly is getting longer and longer, and it seems like we're not making progress back to San Jose. But so my mind was constantly on that the whole time we were driving. But we were really looking for some more birds. We were looking for golden eagles. We were looking for any sort of like prairie birds that we're not going to get in West Coast Oregon.
But we ended up getting them.
Yes.
We got golden eagles every couple miles. There were a few prairie falcons, loggerhead shrikes, kestrels, red-tailed hawks, and eventually we found some ferruginous hawks.
Yes, that was so cool. So the first ferruginous hawk we had was on a post, like perched right next to the highway that we're on, and we're going at like 40-50 miles an hour, going along like right near the speed limit, because like every time we would stop for a bird, I would start off driving and we'd go like 20 miles an hour, 10 miles an hour, and going real slow. And then as we got further and further away from the last interesting bird that we saw, I would speed up, and pretty soon I'd be back to the speed limit. And so I was back to the speed limit when this ferruginous hawk shows up, and it's just a hawk on the post. I was thinking red-tailed hawk. And then literally as it gets right to the passenger window, I'm like, that's not so then I slam on the brakes and I put it in reverse, and it stays on the post the whole time. I back all the way up past it, until it's right next to Hannah's window again.
And we were like eye to eye with it.
And we're like eye to eye with it. And so then I reach into the back seat and grab the camera. And then I pull it forward. And then literally as soon as I get the camera back up to the front seat, it takes off. It's like, shoot. But Fujian Hawk, just super close, hanging out right next to the highway. So I'm sure if I would have been paying better attention and not written it off as a red tail, we could have gotten a photo of it from a reasonable distance away.
So we got up to a place called Dry Lake, which is just south of the Pinnacles National Park entrance. Mm-hmm. Not the one that we talked about in the last episode, but the
other side, the east entrance.
Yeah, and there was like one yellow-billed magpie, and then another yellow-billed magpie, and then suddenly we're up to 23 yellow-billed magpies.
I feel like I feel like I wasn't paying close enough attention counting early enough on this because there was tons of them. Yeah. Tons and tons and tons of the yellow-billed magpies, which they're fun because they are a California endemic, or relatively endemic.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
You don't really see them out of California, so it's a lot of fun to see those guys.
Yeah, so if you
and they're fun because they're corvids, so they are jerks to everyone and are kind of loud and obnoxious.
Well, and they're so pretty and they're large. Yeah. So if you ever have a chance to just like drive through backwoods of California, I mean, that Peachtree Valley Road was really cool.
Yeah. And so we got back, like I said, we were targeting 4 to 4:30 to get to the airport.
I think we made that.
I think it was 5 o'clock when we pulled into the rental car parking and turned in the car and all that stuff. And so I'm like super panicked, but San Jose Airport is easy to navigate. It was literally, we have TSA pre-check. We didn't need it at this airport. We walked in and the two lines both had 0 people for security. Either the TSA or the regular, you just, like that day, the day and time we went there was nobody there. Literally just walked in, walked up to the gate, and we still had like a half hour until boarding started. And I was like, all right, well, I guess we have time to get our stuff all situated.
Yeah.
So we could fly home. But yeah, next trip was Japan.
Yeah.
Can't wait to talk about that. But we had a great time in Morro Bay at the Birding Festival. If you have a chance to go down there next year, I would highly recommend it. Mm-hmm. San Diego Bird Festival is in February, but Morro Bay is in January. So you can go to California twice.
So many opportunities to see cool California birds.
Yes. It was a great time. Great time had by all. So thank you guys all for listening to our podcast. We hope you enjoyed it and or learned something new. Please, please, please rate, review, subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Music, or anywhere else that you would listen to us. If you'd like to connect with us on the socials, you can follow us at Hannah Goes Birding and Eric Goes Birding on Instagram. You can follow our Facebook page at Hannah and Eric Go Birding. You can also email us at hannahanderic@gmail.com. And you can check out our website at www.gobirdingpodcast.com. Tell us what you think and share the love of birding with your friends.
Woo!